All right, now Zerodha CEO Nithin Kamath says his firm will not fire anyone just because a new technology makes an earlier job redundant. This is in sharp contrast with what most global CEOs are saying, asserting that AI and AGI will replace a lot of current jobs. So how sustainable is this pledge from Zerodha? Actually, it gives us food for thought and starts a conversation of what will be the outcome of AI. Is it time for some kind of a policy around this? And what will be the outlook for jobs specifically? To speak more on this, I'm joined today by Shantanu Rooj, founder and CEO of TeamLease Edtech, Garima Kapoor, chief economist at Elara Capital, and K Yatish Rajawat, founder of Center for Innovation in Public Policy. Welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for speaking with us today. So we thought this is an interesting sort of conversation starter with one major company highly involved in the field of tech saying that we will not sack someone just because tech can do your job. Shantanu Rooj, how do you look at this announcement? And do you think this is going to be an outlier when compared to how most companies would be looking at the use of technology?
So, Tamanna, this is very difficult to predict at this point in time. It's too early, I believe. The impact on jobs because of AI is definitely going to be there. But to what extent is a far-fetched premonition at this point. So there definitely will be certain types of jobs which will get replaced by AI, but definitely all jobs are not going to be replaced. Even some of the reports that I have read which came out from across the world says that there's a very strong probability that the number of jobs that AI will generate will outnumber the number of jobs that it will replace. So I guess the nature of jobs will change, but possibly the total number of jobs isn't going to get too much affected by this.
Fine, but I have asked you, Shantanu, specifically about, one founder, an owner of a company today saying that he's made a pledge. He's made a pledge very openly, saying, I will not sack people because your job has been made redundant by technology. And of course, he has his own reasons for that. What do you think of that as a move? And again, I reiterate my question. Do you think that's going to be more of an exception than a rule?
So possibly in the case of Zerodha, this could possibly be an exception. The way most entrepreneurs or most founders or most CEOs would look at it is that their employees need to be remaining relevant in the age of AI, which means that it will require them to retrain, reskill, upskill their employees to ensure that they can actually use AI to bring to help the business ultimately. So if Zerodha can ensure that their teams are retrained to ensure they can take benefits out of AI, obviously there's something to gain. But I'm not too sure that's going to be the case for all companies.
Also, the reasons given behind this sort of statement is a broader thought of what is the purpose of corporate existence, push of shareholders towards profitability, etc. So it comes from a larger space. But Garima Kapoor, what has been your assessment on how AI is going to very, very quickly change job functions and impact the way companies behave, as an extension, the way economies function?
Right, Tamanna. I think I also agree with my fellow speaker that probably what Zerodha CEO mentioned could be an exception because most companies are looking to enable their current systems and processes in such a fashion that they can coexist with the new technology that is hitting them. And there's no denying that BFSI sector particularly, and automotive, FMCG, and retail are going to be some of the sectors that are going to be largest adoptions around AI. What is more interesting is that while we talk about job displacements, there are also going to be jobs that will need to get replaced in the sense that you might have to change the course of your sector, probably because the AI adoption there could be much higher. But having said this, when we talk about the jobs, remember any technology that has ever been adopted in any part of the world has always eventually added to productivity and added to economic gains. So there could be some estimates that by the time we get to 5 trillion economy, there could be a sizable contribution that AI and robotics could make. Let's not forget the sizable increase in startups in India last 6 years. A significant number of them have AI-based technology as their core. And these are all productive ventures that are eventually contributing to the economy. So I think we'll have to look at it from all sides. One, yes, jobs is angle, but if it makes your current engagement more productive, allows you to coexist through upskilling, and then adds up to your greater outcome in terms of productive engagement in the economy, I think it is worth adopting.
Interesting that Garima speaks about startups specifically, because this is one question that gets asked. Of course, startups have added massive value, venture funding coming in, new edge of the economy. They're not very job intensive. They're not very employee or manpower intensive kind of businesses, right? You don't need as many people as you would if you were, for example, manufacturing something. And does AI move further in that direction? Yatish, we've had an interesting debate earlier also on this conversation. So I was keen to know what you think about this very, very bold statement from Nithin Kamath today on Zerodha's specific outlook.
Tamanna, Nithin Kamath's statement is actually, I think, one of the most wonderful way that a company can act or react to the AI conundrum. Companies need to take basically a responsibility beyond their shareholders. We've had this shareholder micro focus too long and too narrow for and it's causing impact, especially in the AI area, because AI, as you know, will increase productivity, will remove people from large number of processes, and it does not replace jobs. It throws people out of jobs, and those people cannot be upskilled. You cannot upskill a programmer who knows 25 programming languages and make him something else. Or you cannot upskill a creative designer and expect him to now do machine learning or AI management. So, there's a misnomer about upskilling, and there's a myth that those jobs, people who get those jobs will be the same as those who has lost it. That's one aspect. So what Nithin has done is very interesting. And I think every company will have to sooner or later realize very purposefully and thoughtfully, and I would say strategically, that what is their AI strategy? Is their AI strategy primarily around economics, or is their AI strategy also human and ethical in nature? And these are very important questions. And these questions should be the cornerstone, or should be debated not just by you, Tamanna, and you've done a great job putting this up front, but this should actually be debated in every boardroom across the country, especially in companies which are running large tech platforms or even IT services companies. You've seen in the last 9 months or so, all IT services companies have frozen their hiring. And the reason they have done it is not because of the fact that there is some great slowdown in the business, but they know that they can easily get 30% increase in software programming and coding by just using AI. The first element that AI targets is coding. It takes away the testers. For instance, 20% of every IT service companies are people who just test written code. Now, AI does it remarkably well. And also,
if I position the counter, Yatish, if I position the counter to you, if I counter you that if there is a technology available that does the same job faster, what is the reason for a company not to adopt it? Just out of the goodness of their heart. I mean, business doesn't work that way.
Yes. So it's not the adoption which is a challenge. It is how do you purposefully and thoughtfully adopt it. And like Nithin has said in his statement, if you read his statement, that he's not said anywhere that we're not going to adopt AI. He's saying we're going to adopt AI. But if somebody loses his job because of our adoption of that AI, we will not make his job redundant. So the company is taking that responsibility, and that is, I think, a very thoughtful approach. increasingly that will determine the leaders in corporate India or corporate worldwide, and everywhere else. IBM did a study recently on why the boardroom conversations around AI has to focus more on the ethics of it. The economics of it are already well known that it will improve productivity. So everybody knows that it will add X percentage or X margin to my bottom line. That debate has been done to death, and most companies have accepted, acknowledged, and have a rollout strategy. What they don't have currently is the impact study. That how is it affecting not just my shareholders, but how is it affecting my stakeholders?
Yeah.
And conscious capitalism says that
Okay.
you need to look at stakeholders more than shareholders.
I love this term, conscious capitalism, and it, frankly, it sounds great. Let's be honest about what's going to happen. Recently, even the IBM chief said a large number of jobs are going to be replaced by artificial intelligence. It just makes more sense. Garima Kapoor, just your responses to some of the points that Yatish has made.
Very interestingly, Tamanna, just digressing a bit while I give a counter to Yatish. Just today morning, and there was a forward that came to me through Twitter, whereby an AI-based fund manager has generated 500% better returns than the market. So clearly, there is no doubt that there are increasing number of counters that are probably going to come. But of course, when it comes to the human interface, of course, you cannot 100% replicate or probably do that, especially when it comes to the social aspects of it. But what I think more importantly is that while we talk about AI adoption, what we are lacking in the debate of job creation in the country is that India is simultaneously adopting a massive base of manufacturing. Let's not forget the 14 PLI schemes that have about 2 lakh crore worth of incentives have targeted to create about 60 lakh jobs. We've just had Apple that has created, probably set up the largest manufacturing unit in India, and we have already created a lakh of jobs and has already started exporting iPhone 14 out of the country. So I think as the share of manufacturing increases in the shares India's GDP from, let's say, 17% currently to all the way to 27% where China is, even if you get about 300, 400 basis point lower than what China is, you cannot 100%, automate everything. For instance, a sector like garmenting, which is going to move out of a, let's say, a country like Pakistan or Sri Lanka or Bangladesh that might be struggling because of various economic crises that they might be facing, where is the garmenting going to go? You cannot automate the garmenting stage. You can automate pre-garmenting stage. So while we talk about the job displacements that will be created by AI, I think we will also at the same time be able to create a significant number of jobs, especially where we're expanding our base and our front, especially on new manufacturing sectors where it requires reasonable amount of human intervention and assembly.
Shantanu, I want you to weigh in on the steps that will now be needed to be taken, and not just at the corporate level. Corporate level, people may not. But policy-wise, it seems more likely than less than companies may do whatever they want to for profitability, but countries and governments will now start seriously pondering how to deal with the fallout, negative or positive, of a game-changing technology like artificial intelligence.
Yeah, so Tamanna, you're right. In that case, see, the advent of AI and its impacts on business is similar to possibly what industrial revolution did to agriculture, right? It's going to change the nature of jobs. I'm not too sure whether it's going to reduce jobs in that case. So from a policy and regulatory perspective, definitely governments are concerned at this point in time about the negative impacts, negative fallouts of a technology like that. As per Sundar Pichai some time back just made a statement saying that even Google doesn't understand the way his AI engines work. They really fear the day when AI engines could write their own codes and decide their own fate. I think that those are the challenges that governments are looking at to ensure that AI shouldn't become an over-empowering system. And it still should be able to, human beings should be able to control that. I think regulatory needs to come in to extent that AI doesn't get negatively used and its negative connotations must be controlled. I think policy needs to intervene in those areas.